I'm going to touch off on something that my colleague, Mr. Issa, was talking about anecdotally. He was bringing up one of the third parties that you used. And to paint the picture, they labeled risky and non-risky entities, whatever the time frame was. And they said risky, top 10 risky, New York Post, Real Clear Politics, The Blaze, One American News, Newsmax, The Federalist, The Daily Wire. Those are the most risky. And the most trustworthy, or the not risky, were NPR, Associated Press, New York Times, Huffington Post. Other ones, Wall Street Journal, and the list goes on. But some in that list of not risky I consider to be highly risky. And so my question goes to third parties in general. I want to know if there's an institutional bias for third parties that are hired to do this work, because that, as one example, seems like an institution that has a bias. And it's almost like being double-crossed, because they did get our money, and then it was saying this is risky, this is not risky, but the ones they said were not risky were the ones in real time perpetuating the hospital lie, as an example. I'm not going to go through other examples, but as an example, they were the ones perpetuating that hospital lie. And so a couple of questions there, and that's where I go back to, one, I want a list of the third parties that you've been out there hiring, because I want to know if institutionally biased third parties are being hired by you all. And number two, and I know this is soon after, but do you know for a fact at this point that any of your other third parties that we don't have a list of yet were a part of spreading the hospital lie or have an anti-Israel bias?
So on our partners, we will never have control over what they do in the future. Just to be absolutely clear, the work that you're referring to—
I will acknowledge that. You don't have control over your third-party partners. They're third party. I understand why you're using them, not to be mean. People aren't following your Twitter. You're looking for people of influence to do this. But do you know if any of the third parties to date that you've hired were part of the hospital lie? We'll call it that.
So let me just answer your preceding question on bias. We have a process to select partners. We have an open announcement asking for the type of work. We have a panel that reviews the partners. And in every statement of work, in every agreement that we make with them, and let me read this for the record, we have the following, which says, GEC does not address United States domestic audiences, nor engage in domestic discussions of United States policy. No activities supported under this scope of work shall be directed toward U.S. persons. Any such engagement, if determined by GEC to have been intentional, may constitute grounds for termination for cause of this award. That is in every agreement that we make with a third party. So that is as set in stone as it can be. And I just wanted to make sure that you and other members of the committee hear that, and to allay any concerns that you might have.
Yeah, just say this, the mission statement is to counter foreign state, non-state propaganda, disinformation efforts that threaten the stability of the United States, its allies, and partner nations. So that's a tough mix there, because you're not supposed to address Americans. You are addressing across the globe, and obviously one of our allies being Israel, partner nation being Israel. So just again, to that very pointed question, do you know yet at this point any of your current third parties under contract were part of spreading the Al-Ali hospital lie with the rest of the Palestinians?
I'm not aware of any of our partners.
Do you plan on investigating whether they were a part of spreading that lie about our ally?
We will look into this and get back to you.
I hope you do, and I will look forward to you getting back.